Hello and welcome. Today we are going to continue talking about the 13 colonies and continue with our discussion of the three regions. Earlier we did the New England colonies. Today we're going to talk about the middle colonies, and later on we'll finish up with these five southern colonies. Okay. What we studied when we studied the New England colonies was Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. We pointed out that Maine is not one of the original 13 colonies at this time. It was part of Massachusetts. Eventually, in 1820, it becomes a state, but right now, it is not part. We also pointed out that besides England, France and Spain also had claimed large amounts of land, and as we move west, we will be dealing with them. Our four middle colonies that we're going to study today are New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. We're also going to introduce something called the backcountry, which is the land just west of the 13 colonies and just on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. As we start the 13 middle colonies, again, these are the four you can see in the upper northeast region. And even though they're middle, it still is quite a bit north, but they are considered the middle colonies. Kind of a close up view, we have New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. We're going to start with New York. As we mentioned, England, France, and Spain claimed land in America. Also, other countries wanted to claim land, and one of them was the Netherlands. The Netherlands was very close to England, and the Netherlands had a very big shipping industry that they traded goods all over the world. And they wanted to get in the action and thought it'd be very lucrative and wealthy being able to trade in the New World. And what they did is they wanted to claim the Hudson River. So what they did is they went ahead and claimed this land up and down the Hudson River, and they built a little city on the bottom down here, this white dot called New Amsterdam. This was named after their capital city, Amsterdam. They named in the New World a lot of times after cities in Europe or kings and queens. This New Netherlands part of the Middle Colonies, what would become New York, was mainly run by a company called the Dutch West India Company. These are the ones that held all the boats that they used for trade. Okay. Problem was they did not have an army or a navy to protect their interest. Okay. So New England was smart enough to see this and said, you know what? We think we want to control that. If you look at the red lines here on the map, you'll see there's a little gap right here. Well, that gap is where New Netherlands is, that the Netherlands country controls the Hudson River. England thought we'd like to have that and we'll control then the whole east coast up and down the whole country, and we'll be able to control the trade that goes in and out. So they decided they were going to go ahead and claim this land. At the time, the King of England was a gentleman named King Charles, and he had a brother. And so what he did is he declared war on Holland. Holland is the Netherlands, and he told his brother, that James, the Duke of York, remember the name York, says, "Why don't you take some ships and take some of your friends and go see if we can seize the New Netherlands and have it for ours." So what happened was, here's just the drawing of the governor of New Netherlands and James, the Duke of York, and you can see they had the big ships in the background. There was no battle. There was no fighting. They simply showed up. As we said, New Netherlands had no army and navy. They said, hey, we want this. We're going to take it. So New Netherlands surrendered. And so in 1664, New York or New Amsterdam became New York, named after the Duke of York. And that's in New York City as it stands today, right there. Okay. This here are some pictures of what New York looks like now. There would be the Statue of Liberty, and this is the island of Manhattan. And you can see the New York Harbor. This is why it was very important. Here's a reverse kind of angle of Manhattan, and then in the circle back there, you can just see the Statue of Liberty in a distance. New York was nowhere near developed at this time. It was just a plot of land with a few hundred people there. In fact, I think by the time the Revolutionary War started, there was only 20,000 people living in New York City at this time, but they could see what it was going to become, such a big harbor, and with the Hudson River, such a big waterway, important to trade. Last in this part one, we're going to finish up in New Jersey. As King Charles said, told his brother James, Duke of York, take some of your friends with you to help you out. We'll give you New York, and you can give them New Jersey. The two gentlemen, George Carteret and Lord John Berkeley, are kind of nondescript, but what they did do is they did offer religious and political freedom. The reason for this is that they wanted to entice people to come and settle in New Jersey. A couple things New Jersey is known for: the electric light bulb and the telegraph were invented in New Jersey, as well as the first organized baseball game was played in New Jersey. The capital city, I just want to finish up pointing out, is Trenton, and Trenton will come into play big time when we talk about the Revolutionary War. This is the end of part one. Do your activities with the slides, and I'll come back with part two in just a moment.